I never imagined my first time would happen like that. Not in a romantic setting, not with someone I loved, but with my boss, on the cold glass table of the 27th floor boardroom. The city lights outside blurred as his lips claimed mine. I should have stopped it. I was just an intern and he, the untouchable CEO. But that night, logic lost to desire. And what started as a mistake quickly turned into a secret we couldn't resist. Now every glance, every touch at work, feels like playing with fire. And I don't know how long I can keep pretending nothing ever happened. Her name was Lily Evans, a final-year marketing student with dreams bigger than her small-town roots. She'd landed the internship of a lifetime at Carter Group, one of the most powerful corporations in the city. Lily was smart, determined, and full of quiet ambition. But she was also clumsy, a little too honest, and wore her heart too, close to the surface. On her first day, she wore shoes that pinched and a blazer that didn't quite fit. Still, she smiled, because this was her chance. A foot in the door, a fresh start, and then there was him. Ethan Carter, CEO, billionaire, divorced. A man as admired as he was feared. With a gaze that could freeze a room, and a voice that commanded silence. He was known for being untouchable, never mixing business with pleasure, especially not with interns. But fate has a strange sense of humor. In her very first meeting, Lily, nervous and wide-eyed, accidentally challenged his strategy in front of the entire executive board. The room fell into stunned silence. No one dared to breathe, except him. Ethan stared at her, not with anger, but with something different. Interest, challenge, like she was the first puzzle he hadn't solved in years. From that moment on, something shifted. Every glance, every word, every time he walked by her desk with that unreadable look in his eyes. Lily didn't know it yet, but she had just stepped into a dangerous game, one where the stakes weren't just professional, but personal. The office was dark, silent, except for the soft hum of fluorescent lights and the rapid clicking of keys. It was past 10 p.m., and Lily was still at her desk, alone. Again. She wasn't behind because of incompetence, but because her team had accidentally dumped all the grunt work on her. The new intern, after all, wouldn't dare complain. Her fingers trembled from exhaustion. Her eyes burned from hours in front of the screen. And when the system crashed, deleting everything she'd just done, something inside her cracked. She buried her face in her hands and cried. That's when she heard the footsteps. Sharp, calm, controlled. Ethan Carter appeared in the doorway like a shadow carved from glass and steel. He said nothing at first, just stood there watching her. "Why are you still here?" he asked, voice low, unreadable. Lily quickly wiped her tears and stood up, forcing a shaky smile. Just finishing up. Didn't want to disappoint. He walked in. Slowly, silently, closed the door behind him. "Sit," he said, pointing to the leather chair beside her. When she didn't move, he took a step closer. I said, "Sit." She sat, heart pounding, breath uneven. But instead of scolding her, he knelt down in front of her, and gently wiped away the tear she'd missed. His fingers brushed her cheek longer than necessary. His eyes searched hers, unreadable. Her lips parted, unsure of what to say. That's when he whispered, "You don't have to prove yourself to people who don't matter." And just like that, his lips found hers. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't planned. It was heat and hunger, and something neither of them could name. He pulled back slightly, as if giving her a choice. "You can stop this," he murmured, voice husky. "Just say the word." Lily's eyes searched his. Her voice came out softer than a breath. "But I don't want to." He didn't need more than that. That night, the glass walls of the 27th floor office became witness to something that shouldn't have happened. A forbidden kiss. A tangled moment between power and vulnerability, and a silent promise neither of them dared to speak aloud. It wasn't love. Not yet. Just a mistake. A craving. Or at least, that's what they told themselves. But by the time the sun began to rise, both knew something had changed. Because some lines once crossed can never be uncrossed. The morning after, Lily woke up with 1,000 emotions crashing through her chest. Shame, shock, confusion. It had felt unreal, like a dream wrapped in shadows and temptation. But it had happened. She avoided the mirror. She couldn't bear to see the girl who had crossed a line she swore she never would. But before she could leave for work, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Don't run. Come to the rooftop at 9. She hesitated, then obeyed. There. Standing with the skyline behind him, Ethan Carter looked every bit the powerful, unreadable man he was. He didn't waste time. "Last night," he began, his tone calm but firm. "Should never have happened. But it did." Lily stayed silent, heart pounding, arms crossed to keep herself from shaking. He took a slow step toward her. "I'm not a man who mixes emotions with business. This, whatever it is, can't interfere with work." She nodded quickly, trying to seem unaffected. But he wasn't finished. "If this continues," he said, voice lowering, "it stays between us. No feelings, no expectations. Just need." He looked at her then, deep, intense, deliberate. "Do you agree?" Lily opened her mouth, closed it. She didn't know what she wanted. Only that when she remembered the way he touched her. The way he looked at her like no one else ever had. She didn't want it to end. "Yes," she whispered. "I agree." He handed her a small black box. Inside, a sleek second phone. "This is how you'll reach me. For one thing only." That night, her screen lit up with a single message. "Come to me." And just like that, the line between them vanished again. At the office, they became strangers. Cold. Professional. No eye contact. No lingering glances. But when the city slept, he became hers. And she, his addiction. They didn't speak about it. They didn't ask for more. They met behind locked doors, kissed in silence, and left before morning light. It was thrilling, dangerous, and terribly, beautifully wrong. But Lily couldn't shake one thought. What happens when a secret starts to feel like the only real thing in your life? It was never supposed to mean anything. That was the rule. But rules, Lily would soon learn, meant nothing when hearts got involved. It started with small things. Ethan walking into a room, and his eyes automatically searching for her. Her laughter with another male intern, just innocent chatter, suddenly made his jaw tighten. He didn't say a word. He didn't need to. But every time she smiled at someone else, he watched. Lily felt it too. The ache when he passed by her desk with that cold, professional stare. Like she was nothing. Like the nights they spent tangled in whispers and shadows had never happened. She told herself she didn't care. that this was what she agreed to. But each time he ignored her in the elevator, each time he praised someone else in meetings, something inside her twisted. The breaking point came during the company's annual gala. Lily had worn a black satin dress that hugged her in all the right ways, her eyes shining with something she couldn't name. Hope, maybe. But Ethan barely looked at her. So she drank. Too much. She laughed too loudly, danced too freely, and let herself forget, until she saw him, talking quietly with a woman in red, a stunning investor, older, elegant, the kind of woman who belonged in his world. Jealousy hit her like a slap. She turned, away, heart pounding, throat tight. Moments later, he found her on the balcony, barefoot and flushed from the wine, her voice slurred and raw. "If this is just physical," she whispered, staring at the night sky, "then why does it hurt so much?" Ethan didn't speak, didn't scold. He just walked over and, without a word, swept her into his arms. People stared as he carried her out of the party, past gold chandeliers and curious eyes, like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. At his penthouse, he didn't touch her, didn't kiss her. He tucked her into bed, brushed the hair from her face, and sat beside her. All night. He didn't sleep. Just held her hand, staring at her like she was something fragile he didn't know how to protect. By morning, the air between them had shifted. They both knew, without saying a word. This wasn't just about the nights anymore. It started with whispers. Then, the whispers turned into stares. Then, the stares became rumors. She's the CEO's plaything. She must have slept her way in. Typical intern, using her body for a shortcut. The words burned, louder than the clicks of keyboards, and louder than the silence that followed her everywhere she walked. But the worst part? Ethan didn't say a word. Lily kept her head down. She smiled through clenched teeth. But inside, something was breaking. Until one morning, an email arrived. "Report to HR immediately." She walked into the glass-walled room with shaking hands, 2 HR officers, cold smiles, and Ethan, already there. "Miss Evans," one began, flipping through a file. "There have been allegations, inappropriate conduct, a relationship with your superior." Lily's throat dried. Her eyes darted to Ethan. He didn't look at her. Didn't even flinch. "Mr. Carter," the officer continued, "can you confirm or deny these allegations?" The room seemed to freeze. A single beat of silence. Then came his voice. Sharp. Controlled. "There is no relationship." Lily stopped breathing. No relationship. Like the nights they spent meant nothing. Like the way he held her hand all night had been just a lie. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "So I was just a secret. Not even worth defending?" Still, he said nothing, only looked away. Her chest caved in. The room spun. Tears blurred her vision, but she stood up. "Thank you for the clarification," she said, voice shaking. "Now I know exactly what I was, to you." That afternoon, she submitted her resignation. No goodbye. No explanations. She packed her things in silence, ignored the stares, and walked out of the Carter Group building like a ghost fading into daylight. No one stopped her, not even him. And as the elevator doors closed behind her, Lily whispered the truth she should have told herself from the beginning. I was never just his secret. I was his cowardice. Days passed, but for Ethan Carter, time had lost all meaning. The office was quieter, the coffee colder, and the emptiness left behind by Lily Evans unbearable. He stared at his phone more times than he'd ever admit. No messages, no calls, just silence. He tried to focus, tried to move on, but her voice haunted him. Her words, shaking and tearful, echoed in his mind. So I was just a secret, not even worth defending? No matter how many meetings he attended, or how many deals he signed, one truth remained. He had let her go. The only person who ever saw him as more than just a title. One morning he did something no one expected. He canceled his day. No boardroom, no clients, no assistants. Just one destination. The university auditorium was filled with proud families and excited graduates. Ethan stood in the back, alone, watching as Lily stepped onto the stage in her cap and gown. She looked radiant, determined, and so far away. When the ceremony ended, she walked out with her classmates, laughing softly, until she saw him. Her smile faded, eyes wide, breath caught. He walked up to her slowly, ignoring the curious glances around them. "You shouldn't be here," she said, trying to sound strong. But her voice wavered. He took a deep breath, his eyes never leaving hers. "Lily," he began, voice low, raw. "I've made countless decisions in boardrooms, calculated every move, but the one thing I couldn't calculate was losing you." He reached into his coat and pulled out a slim folder. She hesitated before taking it. Inside, an official employment contract from Carter Group, and nestled quietly at the bottom corner, a small velvet ring box. She looked up, stunned. "This isn't about the job," he said, stepping closer. "It's about you." He opened the ring box. A delicate diamond sparkled inside. "If I have to choose between my reputation and you, I'll choose you. Every time." Tears welled in her eyes. She tried to speak, but all that came out was a quiet gasp. Ethan gently took her hand. "You were never just a secret, Lily. You were the truth I was too afraid to say out loud, and for the first time, no longer behind closed doors, no longer in shadows." He kissed her, in front of everyone, because this time, he wanted the whole world to know. 1 year had passed. A year of growth, of trust, and of love, finally becoming something real. Lily Evans sat in the sleek, modern office, her office. The office she'd once only dreamed of. Now, she was the personal assistant to the CEO himself, and with every passing day, the office felt more like a home. She looked out the window, watching the bustling city below. Everything had changed. And yet, some things, like her heart, had stayed exactly the same. She glanced at the clock. He would be here soon. As the door creaked open, Ethan Carter walked in, his presence commanding the room. But there was something different about him now, something softer, something more real. He smiled at her, the kind of smile that told her everything had been worth it. "How's my assistant doing today?" he asked, voice low and teasing. Lily leaned back in her chair, her eyes sparkling. When the office emptied and the last of the employees trickled out, the door would lock behind them. Then, it would be their time, she whispered, just loud enough for him to hear. Now, it's no longer a secret. It's the real thing. "So, what do you think, my boss?" He walked up to her, leaning over the desk, eyes filled with unspoken promises. "Now, we start a new chapter." And as the door clicked shut behind them, Lily knew this was just the beginning. And that's it for today's episode. What do You think of Ethan and Lily's story? Could you feel their connection? Do you think they'll make it through the challenges ahead? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever been in a situation where love and career collided? If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more sweet love stories. Trust us, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next